What about you? How you doing? Just sitting outside here enjoying the beautiful sunshine today, and been thinking about life goals and wondering if you have any life goals. I'm sure you do. Everybody does. Um, Short term, long term. You know, sometimes just getting out of bed and getting dressed, getting your teeth brushed is a big step forward, isn't it? But just wondering if during this time of COVID that you've actually been able to realize a goal that you've had in your heart, in your mind for yourself, and you've had time, possibly. I know some people have been very busy, but maybe you've had time to actually realize that goal. Hmm? Well, anyway, one of my life goals was to have a vegetable garden. Actually, big lifetime goal would be to live on an acreage and, do the whole country living thing. That's would love to be able to do that. But bloom where you're planted, right? So this is where we are in suburbia. And so just wanting to be content, I guess, and make the best of what we have. So I don't know if any of you like to garden. I mean, I know my friends in Northern Ireland, you guys have probably the best climate ever actually for growing things. And I'm often a little bit envious, especially when my sister tells me, oh, my daffodils are up. We're still shoveling 3 feet of snow usually whenever she tells me that. So, been tempted to actually hang up on her, but I wouldn't do that, but anyway, we do get lots of snow. Our winters are long here, and March, April for me is like real drag actually, because that somewhere else in the world it's spring, and spring is just happening here now for us in Canada. So I just wanted to maybe take you on that journey, which is it is a part of the culinary journey that I'm on as well, with this YouTube channel, but hopefully my garden will become part of that cooking journey, because I just think it would be wonderful to be able to dig up some veggies out of my garden and we cook them on the show. So that's a goal. So anyway, this during this time, as I've had more time, less money, but more time. It's hard to get those two together, isn't it? Time and money in the same place. It's usually one or the other. So time I have. So I've been investing that in my backyard. We've lived in this house for 17 years and we've never finished it the way that I had envisaged it whenever we moved in here. So trying to get there step by step. I recently watched a Netflix show. It's actually from the UK, and it featured a gardener called Monty Don, I believe his name is. And that show was just so inspirational, because oftentimes you find with these makeover shows, somebody walks in, they say, okay, do this, this, and this, and your ideas, you have no ideas, and your ideas are stupid. So, just do what I tell you kind of thing, and I'm sending the contractors in, and I'll come back in, 2 or 3 months, and we'll see what it looks like. But he wasn't like that at all. He would actually listen to the people who applied to be on his show and their dreams and their vision of their gardens. And he really inspired me to just go for it and just do what reflects me and the values that I have and what I want to see this garden being used for. So I'm in a space in our backyard right now where we sit and have, a meal whenever the weather's nice, or barbecue sitting there. And but you go down a few steps. I'm going to take you down those steps right now, and that you join in. And maybe you have issues with your yard. Maybe there's things about your yard that you would like to change, or maybe you need some ideas. And maybe, just maybe, you might pick up on something that I have done here or am doing. This is an ongoing process, but 2020 is the year of the garden. So for me, and hopefully get this backyard all finished up. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how it goes. If I get called back into work, then you know, whatever's done so far this year will have to be it. But it definitely is a work in progress. And if you can get an idea from me, and maybe I can get some ideas from you. Not every idea that you have that works in your garden is going to work in mine, because our climate here is just a tad challenging at times. So we have to work with that. There's no point in trying to work against it and grow plants that are not going to do well in this climate. So it is challenging, but hey, come along with me. Let's take a look, see what's going on in the garden. So that little rectangular box has lettuce in it. Beside that, well, let's take a closer look. We have some cauliflower and some cabbage and some spinach, I believe. So that's going to go into that bed there, and then the other one will be all potatoes. I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment with our potatoes. I have some big bins here, and we're going to plant the potato in there, see how they do compared to the ground, just for fun, see how it goes. This wheelbarrow was a freebie that I got. I was sitting outside somebody's house one Saturday when I was out driving around garage sales, and hit the brakes, give myself a bit of a whiplash, but anyway, recovered from that. And because they had the sign on free, so I brought that home. I planted a herb garden in that last year, and it did pretty good. Did all right. We got, you know, all our necessary herbs from it during the season, but we had snow then very early in the fall, September, and kind of ruined my hopes of drying those herbs for winter use. So I have planted it in nasturtiums and hoping that we'll have something happen there, but I'm actually not very optimistic because they've been in there for a while, and doesn't look like there's anything happening. So I'm just going to give them another 2 or 3 weeks, and if nothing happens, then we're just going to go to the garden centre and we're going to get a few big pots of flowers and just pop them in there and brighten that corner up. So this little section of pots here is filled with Sweet William that I started from seed. I'm very pleased to say that despite a bit of a mishap in the house when we started them, they've actually survived. And so we're going to nurture those for this year. We'll overwinter them in the garage. They will not be hardy enough till next year to put in the garden. So looking forward to seeing how they do. So so this tree here is my apple tree, and this is my nod to my roots in County Armagh, where I'm from, Northern Ireland. And those of you who know Northern Ireland will know that County Armagh is orchard country. It's where all the apples are grown. So that when we moved into this house, I planted this tree fairly soon after we moved in here. I'd always wanted one. So the apples from this tree, medium sized, not terribly big. They make a really nice mini toffee apple. Actually, they're a little tartish in flavor, but they're really lovely, and I just love this tree. This tree has a heavy growing year 1. It's heavy growing. Year 2 is light, and it just goes back and forth. So last year was the heavy year, and I had loads of apples off this tree last year, and in the spring it was a really beautiful display of blossom, just covered in white blossom. We are not going to have that this year. Obviously, it's this light year. It's going to take a break, but we will have a little bit of blossom. As you can see, there's some there, but not very much this year. So so just going to take a little dander down here So this year, my goal is to get rid of all of this grass and weeds that's growing here and create a maintenance-free backyard is the ultimate goal. No grass to maintain. It'll just keep it easier to keep, and we won't be having to worry about water it and all the rest of it. Mind you, wouldn't have to worry about watering today. We've had a couple of days of pretty solid rain, so everything's very, very moist today. So this is my fruit market, my fruit corner here that I'm growing, and something I've wanted to do for a long time. So the wood from this raised bed is a 10-foot by 2-foot bed, and the wood was lying in our garage, left over from when we did the deck, so that was great, a freebie. And we built that. I had a wee friend who built that for me. So I've got peas, just popped them in a week ago. They're in at the back there, and oh look, do you see what I see? The ducks have come up from the creek there, Mr. and Mrs. Mallard. So peas at the back, the strawberries up the middle, and then almost that whole bed is carrots and a little bit of radish at the other end. Now on this side we're going to build another one and put it on this side, and that one will house my onions and tomatoes and another row of carrots. Alright, so beside those strawberries there is a couple of blueberry bushes and my rhubarb. A friend of mine let me dig up a little bit of her very mature rhubarb plant, so I split it into 2 parts there, and that's gonna, oh, it's doing nice, very, very well so far. Of course they have wet feet, so they like the damp, and they're getting plenty of damp, let me tell you, right there. So my wishing well came from my uncle. He built that himself, and I just love it, and it's a nice peaceful place here in the backyard, and my aunt gave that to me after he passed away, and I'm very appreciative of that. And so these are my raspberry plants that I just got, and they're going to go in along the fence there. So yeah, so I just envisage this grass gone, and we're going to put a little bit of wooding, edging around here. I think just a little bit of an edge to block that off a bit, and then have some paving stones, which once we get to cutting our rhubarb, we'll probably use those leaves to make some concrete paving stones. I can show you how to do that if you're interested. And maybe we'll plant some stuff along the wall here, I'm not too sure yet, or we'll just put some small gravel, you know, pea-sized gravel around in and around the pavers. There's the ducks. So you can see there's a little creek back in there. So there are ducks in there, muskrats that build their little homes in there too. So it's nice to be around nature. So anyway, this is hopefully going to be the year when we get this all sorted out and done. That's just dirt that I had pulled out of that bed there. So today the plan is to get the dirt in here and get the potatoes in the ground. Now we're late in the season doing this. We're probably about a month behind, 3 weeks anyway, behind where we should be. But we're going to have a go at it anyway and see how we get on. So if you're interested and follow me along on this journey that I'm on, I would love it if you would like and subscribe, and any comments that you have or questions that you may have or any advice, please feel free to leave them in the comment box below. Okay, and I will keep you posted. We'll come out and do another. So standing here at my front door, we did the backyard in our last video, and so I take you out the front door now and show you what's going on out here and the challenges and all the bits that I have to finish. Oh my goodness, sometimes I feel like my life is full of bits to finish. I don't know if you've ever felt like that. So this is my little spot here where I sit and read and take notes, and this is my sort of quiet or area, even though it faces the street and you know there's a little bit of traffic, but definitely this is my recharge place here. The backyard is lots of work, so if I need a little break from that and just sit and read my Bible or read a book, see my notebook there and pen, and this is where I do it. So to explain this, I kind of have to go over there, but I just wanted to show you the shot of these roses that my hubby bought me for my birthday, and I just got them at Costco. So really excited about getting new roses in. I've always loved roses. My mom had loads of roses in her garden, and I think I inherited the love for them. I don't think I'm as careful with them as what she was, but then our climate here is very different. So these roses are specifically grown for hardy areas. So this one here is a Morden Fireglow, repeat bloomer, yay, throughout the season. Fairy, oh, it's gorgeous, isn't it? And doesn't grow too tall. Easy care it says on here, so that's great. And this one, look at that, cold hardy to -40. So this is why we have to be really careful with our roses. And this one here, so I bought 2 of these, 2 of this Morden one, and then I bought 3 of this one. Look, 3 roses grafted into one bush. It's a tricolor. I am so excited about this. They're just gorgeous. Like, look at that. So these ones too are good to -40 as well. Hardy to zones 3 to 7, and we're zone 3. So we just have to be careful about what we pick. So I'm just going to show you the spot where that is going to go. Before that, there's my lettuce. If you watched my video on the brown muffins, so there's where I keep my lettuce growing, and look at them, they're all just chugging along there. And these are my marigolds that I have been raising from seed, just like children. We raise them from a seed, so they're just doing their thing there. Again, a little bit late getting those started. Next year I will know better. So easy to grow, so easy to grow, so cheap and easy to grow. So this is our front yard. Please excuse the dandelions. And I just came down a couple of steps here, and this is my front little bed here, and we did landscape that. You know, I keep saying we, but we all know it's me. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. So these 2 rose bushes that I have here are really climbers, and this was not the best place for them because they just get so big and the stems get long, and I mean the roses are lovely on them, but it's just not the right place anymore. So I'm going to be digging those up and popping them in the back, up against the back fence there, where they'll get plenty of sun and plenty of room to spread out and do their thing. So once those 2 rose bushes come out, then, which will be today, this is my project today, then we're going to plant our 5 bushes in here. So this stump is going to go. We'll find a home for that somewhere else, and that's going to fill that up. And this is a nice sunny, sheltered, sunny spot. So it gets morning sun all the way around to about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon right now. So perfect spot for roses actually. But I think I'm going to have to maybe not treat the soil, but dig up some of this soil and replace it with some fresher stuff that will have more nutrients in it, hopefully. So this was really a dead end place. Like I had put stuff in the back there where those rocks are. Nothing would grow because we have this, as you can see, we have overhang here from the roof, and it just prevents the rain from getting in there, and very, very dry back in there. But I am going to try and plant something back in there this year as an experiment. But so that's why that little path it leads to that little little fountain actually there, but again there's a little piece missing of that, so we have to get that rigged up. And that little wheelbarrow, you know, I just picked that up for $5 somewhere, and I usually fill that with pansies. So I'm holding off buying any more flowers. I bought those hanging baskets early on and popped them there, and my begonia there, and that's it pretty much for ready-made flowers this year until I get my other garden, my vegetables, and all this what would you call it, renovation work done in my yard. And then we will see what's left at the garden centre, and hopefully I can get a few things on sale and pop stuff in here. But anyway, it's a lot, and we haven't had the resources or the time for the last few years to be doing a whole lot in the yard. So I wouldn't say I have a whole lot of resources this year either, but at least I have time. I have the time now to poke about. So this is my front bed here, and this bed's kind of interesting because it has turned into a little bit of a woodland area. And so those are the kinds of plants that I'm going for, and plants that'll just take care of themselves. So everything in his bed is perennial. So I have moved a couple of plants. This one here, you can see the little shoots that are coming there. This one is Potentilla, has a very nice apricot colored flower that comes in that one. So it's really, really nice. And so I moved that was in the back, and I just moved that the other day, and it's doing good. And I have another one, if you see the bird bath there, my little homemade bird bath made out of rhubarb leaves, that little plant behind it, little bush, is the same thing. So that's a potentilla as well, and they'll do pretty well anywhere, but I think they're going to enjoy this spot a lot better back here. And I have peony rose there that came from my aunt. That thing did nothing for about 3 or 4 years, and then all of a sudden it's just taken off, and that comes out in the most gorgeous white flower with a pink blush. It's beautiful. My daylilies, irises, I just planted these guys the other day. Just got those from Costco actually. So they call these a British daisy. I don't know if that's the actual name of them or not, and I went back to get a couple more because they're so beautiful. These are perennial as well, and these are hardy. They will survive, hopefully, the winter. I find here that I probably lose, they say to anticipate about 10%, losing about 10% of your garden here every year. I probably lose about 5%, which is always disheartening. But anyway, so I have a little bit of more work to do here because I'm trying to regroup these irises. Everything's slow. Like usually we have irises already blooming by now, but not happening this year. So this little spot here is a work in progress. So what's going to happen here is that stump is coming out. It's going to move that maybe to the backyard somewhere. This is going to go in the backyard, and obviously that bucket's going to go. And I'm going to put in here some bulbs that I just grabbed cheap the other day. They were selling them cheap, so that I think they're a little bit like the daylily, but they have a bright red flower on them. So I think that'll look nice back in there, and apparently they attract the hummingbirds. So we'll see. It's not every year we get hummingbirds here. This tree is my ornamental crab, and I just love it. It comes out in a beautiful pink blossom. Now our Mother's Day here is the second Sunday in May. It's early May anyway, our Mother's Day here. And usually this is blooming. Pink blossom, and it's blooming for Mother's Day. Not this year. But you can see, let me get a better shot here, that the buds, they're there and they're just starting to open out. So I would say, you know, within this next week or so, that it will start to bloom, and I'll let you see that because it is stunning, absolutely stunning. So it is. So anyway, there's the front yard, the street where we live on, and you know, it's nice now. When we moved in here, everything was young and small, and now all the trees are, you know, mature and all that there. So we're just going to pop over here. This is my, oh gosh, don't ask me questions about this, but I have glads growing, in these pots here, and these are going to go in my raised beds that are to the left of me to brighten that up. You know, my dad always had glads growing in the vegetable garden, and finding as I get older, I don't know about you, but as I get older, what my parents did is kind of what I'm doing now. So there's a few more in there, and this here is a zucchini plant. Look at that, I'm so excited about that. This is the first time that I have grown zucchini from seed. Look at that, it's beautiful. The rest I took in yesterday because they just need a little bit of heat. They're all germinated. I planted 8 seeds and they've all germinated, but they just need a little bit of heat to bring them on. So I was doing laundry last night and I thought, okay, I put them on top of the dryer and did, you know, a couple of loads in the dryer. So I'm hoping that that'll have spurred them on, being there with the heat and overnight in the house last night. So these are my herbs this year, and I just don't know. I planted them seeds, and underneath here is parsley, thyme, basil. I honestly don't know, but I think this might be basil. I'm hoping it is, but I honestly don't know. I might have to succumb and just go and grab a few of those at the garden center. So here you can see my beautiful crop of daisies that I have here. These are very specific to this region. Absolutely stunning yellow daisies. I jest. Anyway, so here's my 2 raised beds. So the original plan here, my neighbor and I were going to do 4 of these beds. Two for, well, I say 2 for him, but he was like, you do the work and I'll just pick what I need. Because this is a really sunny spot here. This is a Suntrap right here, and this was unused space. So I had to call the town and make sure it was okay, because someone told me, oh, they might not allow you to grow vegetables in your front yard because, you know, it's snobbish around here. But anyway, I talked to the bylaw guy and he said, absolutely, go ahead. He said, as long as you keep it neat and tidy and nobody complains, you should be fine. And the next thing, my neighbor decides to sell his house. So he sells his house, and so now I can't do the other side. So it's going to be a little bit incomplete this year, but we're going to go ahead anyway. This is my project today. I'll check in later with you all and show you the finished product when I get the dirt in. We're going to lay cardboard on the bottom here, stop those beautiful dandelions from coming up anymore, kill those off with that, and then get our soil in, and maybe we'll get those zucchinis planted today. Zucchinos? Did I say zucchinos? Zucchinis. I have a funny little story about zucchini, but we'll save that for another time. So when our new neighbours come, which will be late June, we'll have a chat and see, and who knows, maybe they would like to do a couple of beds for next year, and then we can, you know, do a little bit of nice finishing off with stone or whatever around the beds, and that would be great. So that's on my agenda for today. So I'll check in with you later and you can see how I got on.